Is it warm yet? Cold last night. Well, cold for Texas. I know a lot of you up north laugh at me when I talk about it getting cold, but for me here in Texas, especially since I'm a small guy, 40 degrees, oh, I don't like it. In the last video, I shared with you how I use these pumpkins as free chicken food, saving me a little bit of money on my chicken feed. Another way to save money on chicken feed is get with your local bakery or find your day-old bread store and see if you can get loaves of bread that are either free or really cheap, because they can no longer be sold for human consumption. Maggie likes to try to steal the bread that we throw out for the chickens too, but we do try to keep her out of it as much as possible. Isn't that right, girl? Did you want some bread, Maggie? Life is not all about chicken feed. Let's go in the garden and see what's growing, and maybe we'll talk about a few of the things that I've had questions about. Recently, someone in the comments asked what I was growing my tomatoes on, and I'm pretty sure they were referring to this structure right here, which is just an old cattle panel. It's not the wire cattle panel, but this is a heavy-duty panel that is put up for temporary fencing a lot of times for cows and horses. I only had one panel, and it was here when I bought the farm, so I decided to move it into the garden and use it as a trellis. So how are my tomatoes doing? So far, everything that I planted for the fall garden is looking really nice. This plant has given me a good number of red cherry tomatoes already. These that I planted over here, I intended to grow up on the hoop, the cattle panel hoop, but it's kind of spread out at the base. So this part that's growing over, I put in a regular tomato cage just to give it something, this side of the plant, something to grow up on. This side, I just keep weaving the tops of the plant in and out of that cattle panel. Maybe it'll grow up over the top. That would be pretty cool. I had a few volunteer tomatoes that popped up in my grape plants here, so I moved them over. I just pulled them out and planted them in these root pouches here. I got a total of 10 7-gallon fabric pots, all with 3 spuds each, and they're growing at different rates, but they look like they're doing pretty good. I have red potatoes, Yukon Gold, and blue potatoes growing from seed that I had in my last season of potatoes. Every day when I get home from work, I just come out here and I find out which ones are getting tall, like these here, and I'll just add soil around the base of these plants. Some of them are a little shallower still because they haven't grown up quite as much, but as they need it, they get more soil until that pot was full, and then we'll just let them grow up and see what they produce. My lemon tree here in the pot next to the greenhouse has done pretty well this year. I got a total of 17 lemons, all turning yellow right now. My elderberry plants are still hating me. They really want to be planted in the ground, and I haven't done that for them yet. I'm sorry. I will soon, I promise. Look how beautiful the kaya plant is growing. Earlier on in the season when I pruned it off, I made the tree a little smaller and I took all the leaves off. It looked really dramatic and drastic. I actually dried those leaves and turned them into powder, and I put those in my food. The tree is rebounding beautifully, producing lots of new stems and lots of leaves. Some of those kaya plants that I planted in the buckets have found new gardens, new homes where they can provide food for new families, and each of those gardeners has agreed that they can divide those plants and share them so this can continue on and on and on. Aww. Look at the cute little baby pomegranate. And it looks like I'm gonna get probably 50% or better of my blackberry plants started in these little pots so that I can plant those all over the farm. With these chilly nights, it may be almost time to take the moringa trees and prune them off and place them in the greenhouse for the winter. But usually in Texas, we get a few cold nights and then we'll get a month of warm, and then winter will come later. Let's go check the kaya and the blackberries up here on the berm. Before we get up there, I want to show you here. This is where we took the blackberries out, and they're growing back by the roots. This one's growing, check this out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plants. I'll just let them grow up and then I'll harvest them. My banana tree is still alive. I'm not sure it's going to make it through the winter. It didn't grow up very big in the warm season. Yep, blackberry and kaya still going on the berm. That felt like deja vu. Did I already share that with you? Maggie has found the plum trees. She's not gonna let this go. I gotta keep her out of the orchard. Let me walk you back to the middle part of the property that I call the meadow, and I'll show you where we hope to contain Maggie so that she can be happy and have lots of place to roam, but not have access to all my fruit trees. You remember back when I built this thing here? This was the structure that I put up on this berm, and I showed you how to place those in the ground using the boards as a key so that you didn't have to use concrete. Well, this was supposed to be the entrance way into the meadow where we were going to keep the horse. We even pounded in a bunch of T-posts to run the wire to create that fence for her, but as of yet we haven't run the fence. All this space back here, which she does enjoy, but she goes freely into the front of the property as well. Today, actually in just a few hours, I have a friend coming over to the farm. He's done a lot of permaculture earthworks, and he's going to help consult with me on this part of the property, how we can solve the challenges for the water issues that I have, the water that rushes through here in heavy rains, and also providing a space for Maggie. So this area back here has to be a dual purpose area. Since we're back here, let's go ahead and peek over the berm here and get a glance at the beehives. There they are. You can see that Maggie has worked this area over pretty well too. She leaves her droppings and she chews up the grass. She enjoys being back here. This is a nice space for her. It would be nice to finish the fence that I have started for Maggie. Not only for Maggie, but if I make the fence good enough, then maybe I can keep the coyotes from coming up into the front part of the property and keeping our ducks and chickens a little safer too. See, there she is out in the field. Hey Callie. Fawn, how's it going? Fawn. Bad girl. Good girl, Callie. It's kind of nice coming out here on a beautiful afternoon. It's a beautiful afternoon after that. I did it again. I'm always finding the holes on the farm. It's a beautiful afternoon, a cool morning, and we're expecting a colder night tonight, but the daytime is still very, very nice, and it's a real pleasure coming out here and taking a walk and experiencing the farm and checking things out, making sure everybody's okay, and I love bringing you along while I do that. Let's go check on the tortoises before we finish. Hey Coco. Well, Luke and I have a lot of farm work to do, so we're gonna get going, get busy. It was fun hanging out with you. I'll talk to you soon. Was it fun? Yeah. Look in there. Hello, Luke. Hello, Luke.